Hey, welcome into the Snap. Week 4 waivers upon us already. We got you locked and loaded, give you everything you need to know to dominate your waivers in Week 4. As always, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing or clicking that like button. Really does help out the channel. At the end of this video, stick around. I'm going to give you my top 5 drop candidates that you can put off your lineup and get somebody new in your lineup that will help you win come Week 4. Without further ado, let's get into it. Starting with number 1, someone that I'm going to spend most of my FAAB on, 20%, Jamaal Williams, running back for the Detroit Lions. He is currently 60% owned, and what I like about Williams, I mean, look, I'm a big Swift owner, so this is not the greatest ad, but if you are a Swift owner, a must add, because Jamaal Williams is proving to have stand-alone running back value. He has 2 multi-touchdown performances already through 3 weeks in the NFL. He's vulturing scores from DeAndre Swift, and DeAndre Swift is dealing with some ankle injuries, some lower body injuries, and this is something that is plaguing him. Week 2, we saw him on a snap count. Week 3, we saw him leave the game, and Jamaal Williams absolutely dominant in those performances. 22 touches, 107 scrimmage yards, and like I said, 2 touchdowns in Week 3. Jamaal Williams is currently a top 10 running back on the year. Running back 6 as of right now, depending on what happens in the New York Giants Dallas Cowboys game, as I am recording this on Monday evening. But crazy. So Jamaal Williams must add, in my opinion, 20% FAAB at the minimum. I think you need to get him on your roster. Number 2 at the running back position, Khalil Herbert. Now, this ad is going to be dependent on the availability of David Montgomery, but should he miss longer than a week, Khalil Herbert, as he showed you last year through a 4-week stretch, was very, very viable as a plug-and-play option in the absence of David Montgomery. Since 2021, when Herbert came into the league, he has played now 5 games in the absence of Montgomery. In those games, averaging 19.6 attempts, 100.2 yards, and 0.6 touchdowns. Very, very strong ad. And my co-host Landon says that Herbert's kind of like the James Robinson effect. His ceiling is so high because there's nobody there to spell him. He has no replacement, and so he's a really, really strong ad should he be a starter, even for a game. So I'm going to throw 10% because, again, it is dependent on the availability of Montgomery, but should that situation change over the coming days, I would maybe bump that up. But as of right now, 10% with Montgomery day to day. At the wide receiver position, we're going to jump in with Romeo Doubs, currently 40% owned. I would spend about 10% of my FAAB on him, coming off a really strong performance. 8 targets, 8 receptions, 73 yards, and a touchdown, 16.3 fantasy points on the week. Romeo Doubs starting to get the trust of Aaron Rodgers. Snap share went up from an average of 47% to 89% this game. Yes, Sammy Watkins is on IR. Christian Watson was inactive, but the Packers are banged up at wide receiver. They don't have much to go on. Christian Watson did not have a good training camp, didn't have much of a training camp, whereas Romeo Doubs was a full participant. So this makes a ton of sense and is doing really well. So my top wide receiver ad of the week is going to be Romeo Doubs, and if you miss out on him, I would prioritize this Bills wide receiver, Isaiah McKenzie. Now, Isaiah McKenzie is currently 35% owned, had a rough end of the game against the Miami Dolphins, potentially costing the game. 35% owned, I would spend about an 8% FAAB on him. The reason why I'm tentative to say that is because we still really don't know who's going to win the slot role in Buffalo. McKenzie's coming off a game where he had 51% of the snaps, Crowder 49%. He had 22 slot snaps, so did Crowder. They're really jockeying for this role, which I think will be quite valuable with Diggs and Davis running the outside, but McKenzie was the clearly more productive option. 9 targets, 7 receptions, 76 yards, and a touchdown. I think McKenzie's a good piece to own in a really, really good offense. And Josh Allen had 63 throwing attempts. He had 70 dropbacks in this game. The Buffalo Bills do not run the football. They throw it. a ton. So McKenzie, volume play, lots of opportunity. I like him as an ad. Then Zay Jones. Zay Jones is the last one. We have to pay attention to this. He's only 14% owned. He's probably only worth about 3% on my FAAB, but he's coming off an 11 target game. And I don't know what's going on, but the Jags look legit. Can't believe that they just rattled off a 38-10 victory. Either way, Zay Jones saw 11 targets. That volume is great. Couple things I'm hesitant about. Trevor Lawrence spread the ball around. He had 7 different receivers last week. Jones did lead the way, but he's probably not always going to be the guy. And this week, going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, who are allowing the 13th least fantasy points per game to opposing wide receivers, I kind of am tempering expectations. So while this feels like you might be chasing the points on Zay Jones, I'm going to say add him for cheap. Hopefully your league mates don't spend a ton on him. And if they do, probably not the best use of FAAB. So I would just go in at a small thing, hold him, see how that situation pans out. But he is commanding a target share. At the tight end position this week, our ad of the week is none other than David Njoku. Currently only 38% owned. He's probably going to go off your waiver wire like hotcakes. Because let's face it, at the tight end position, we are looking for somebody to give us an advantage. And anytime you see a tight end come off a really hot week, 10 targets, really involved, super productive, we need to give them an ad. And what we like about David Njoku is that his snap share has remained high, averaging 91% of the snaps so far through 3 games, but finally getting more involved in the passing game. If you are a team who has been playing the likes of TJ Hawkinson, Kyle Pitts, Mike Gesicki, Dawson Knox, Albert O, or you had someone like Dalton Schultz who's going to miss time, Njoku's probably a really strong ad for this week as they go up against the Atlanta Falcons, who are allowing the second most points to the tight end position at 25.9 fantasy points per game. Get Njoku in your lineup, spend about 15% of your FAAB on him or more. I think he's going to be worth your time. Names that I'm not chasing this week: Tyler Conklin, not chasing the volume or the points on him. Tough matchup week 4 against the Steelers, and who knows if Zach Wilson makes his return in week 4. We don't know what the target share is going to look like. So a lot of question marks there. A tough matchup. Not chasing Tyler Conklin. Let your league mates chase Tyler Conklin. Also not going to be adding Mack Hollins off a big game. Hunter Renfrow missed some time there. And I expect Devontae Adams to get a little bit of grease for that squeaky wheel. Laviska Shenault, 2 catches for 90 yards. No thank you. Not going to chase those. Cole Beasley, in the absence of Chris Godwin, Julio Jones, and Mike Evans, this was a desperation play for the Bucs. Just signed him. Not chasing those points. And as I promised, my top 5 draft candidates for the week down below: Russell Wilson, Darnell Mooney, Albert Okwuegbunam, and the Chiefs' Mecole Hardman and Sky Moore. Go ahead, drop those guys for any of the players that I have listed here in tonight's segment. As always, if you guys enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below. We answer every single question. Who are you needing to add in your leagues for week 4? We'll let you know how much FAAB to spend and who we would like you to target. All right, have a good one, and we'll see you next week.